I think that the biggest thing that we give small businesses is confidence, because they understand that they can do it on their own, they can trust themselves, and they go with Ella, step by step until they have enough to bring in even a part-time or junior marketer who then continues using Ella and shaping up their entire marketing to areas that they're not very strong in. Everything is mind-blowing, because it's like you're saying that we're on the edge, but I think that this is like the very, very early days of this technology, and it's going to be insane. The next decade is going to be insane. And it's going to change everything that we know. Education, medicine, law, everything that we know, everything that we operate is going to change.
Welcome to the EcomXFactor podcast, where it's all about launching and scaling your business using sales funnels, automations, and smart marketing. And now, please welcome your host, the founder of EcomXFactor, Yaron Bin.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Very excited to our conversation. But before we started, you actually told me that you just came back from a trip in the US riding Harley Davidson. So that sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to maybe covering that later on. Maybe it has some connection to AI, because AI can free you up and help you go drive.
Very good team. Having a very good team here while I'm cruising the Florida Keys. That was really amazing.
I actually saw your post on your LinkedIn profile about the fact that your team is you feel that they are hands-on and doing everything great, and it was very exciting. I mean, I was happy for you, and you shouldn't be taken for granted, and I know that you don't take it for granted, but this is amazing.
Thank you. I thank them because
Go ahead.
I thank them because it's not like we're a startup and everything is hectic all the time. And with a team like this, I'm not the bottleneck of anything. Like, things happen, they take decisions, they take initiatives, and then I come back and I see that everything's fine and even better than fine. So it's amazing.
That's amazing. Awesome. Makes you wonder if you're necessary. I don't know.
It really does.
Awesome. So for the listeners who don't know you, can you share about, I mean, I love your background story, but can you share your background story with the listeners?
Sure, of course. Well, I'm a marketer. I've always been a marketer. I've been a marketer for over 20 years, from the prehistoric age where no Facebook, no digital was here. There was a golden time in marketing. Media was expensive. The written word was very valuable. I came from the telecoms industry. So, RFIs, RFQs, a lot of paperwork, decks, websites. So that was like the main essence of marketing at the time. And then the digital revolution hit. So I was working with like large enterprises, so telecoms companies, and then a few SMBs in the telecom space. And then the digital revolution hit, and I must admit I wasn't on board. It felt like every 16-year-old is now an expert. One is expert on social, one is an expert on SEO, and I'm left out of the party. So I really did try to stay in my comfort zone for a really long time. But then around 2013, I understood that if I'm not going to, jump into this whole new world, then I'm going to really be left out. So I went into ad tech for a good amount of years, studying everything that I could about digital. And when I left ad tech, that was like a really exciting part of my career, because I understood that there are not a lot of marketers that actually went this journey. So the oldies like myself, we stayed in storytelling and decks and doing all that type of very qualitative writing work. And the new digital is dominated by teenagers, basically, which don't have the foundation of storytelling and all that. So I understood also that the ones who need this wide array of hands-on marketing capabilities are the smaller businesses who can't necessarily afford to have a full-time marketer or to work with an agency. And then I opened sort of a CMO as a service type business, which, I was selling portions of my time doing strategy, hands-on marketing, planning, traction generation, and starting to actually see the first footprints of marketing and for whatever business. It could be startups, e-commerce businesses, service companies, industrial companies, I mean. And then when time went by, I understood that, if I can automate some of this, then I could probably service more companies, which when COVID hit came as a big necessity, because if there's one thing that happens in every crisis is that the first people to go home are the marketers, and the first budgets to get cut are the marketing budgets. And then a lot of marketing went outsourced at the time. So instead of taking care of 5, 6, 7 companies at a time, it started to be 10 and 12 and more. And then I looked at what I was doing, and I figured out that there's a lot of similarities with how I learn a new client, how I research the market, the tools that I use in order to, learn about the competitors and their audience, and, what works and what doesn't work. So I figured out, if there's so much similarities, then I can probably do some automations, and instead of servicing 15 companies, service 150. And then it was pretty much the same time where OpenAI said that GPT-2 is too much, and then a few weeks later, they released GPT-3. It was in closed beta, and you had to apply for it, somewhere around 2020. So I applied, and we got access to the very, very early version, started playing with the language model. And then if you have automation and you have something that will create the content, and you have marketing knowledge inserted into the machine, then you could probably service 150,000 companies. So I gathered a bunch of really, really smart, talented marketing and advertising specialists. And we've been spending the past 2 years teaching a machine everything we know and giving it to small businesses.
That's great. Before we move on, hearing more about Ella, because I know this is the name of the solution, you mentioned proudly that you're a marketer. And on the other hand, you mentioned that there are also a lot of people that call themselves marketers. And now we have all the AI offering, which is in a way substitute or accelerates or enhances the marketer. So I think this can be a full topic about what the state of the marketer. And because one thing that I'm noting on my hand is a lot of people are overlooking marketing as a profession. I mean, they have the engineers, the CFOs, the accounting guys, but everybody calls themselves marketers in a way. So what is your perspective about this? How do you see like the marketing profession as a whole?
Wow, that's a really good question. So yeah, you're right. I'm very proud to be a marketer. I think that you can see a lot more businesses with a bad product and good marketing that succeeded than, businesses with a good product and bad marketing that succeeded. Marketing and sales, and smart people like Estee Lauder or Henry Ford were the first to say it, are the two of the most important components of the success of every business. And there's actually a research showing that over the past year or so, among failed SMBs, 87% of them say it was for poor marketing. So I think that marketing, everybody can agree that good marketing is crucial for a business, but especially for, SMBs where budgets are lean and they don't have a lot of room for A/B testing or, for trial and error, getting their marketing right and maximizing every dollar is super crucial for the success of a business. And I think that when you put in technology and AI, it can only enhance the work of a marketer and make it that much better, because there's a very limited amount they have limitations for the amount of data that we can consume and, process, whilst AI can do it for us and then free us up to do creative thinking and to figure out the audiences and to figure out the right, the top messaging. There's not an AI machine yet that will do the Nike Just Do It or those emotional Adidas campaigns. But it could definitely, shorten the time span for talented marketers to do it really well. But I agree with you. It's not a substitute. I don't believe it's a substitute. Well, not in its current state right now. But I do think that people using AI are definitely going to replace people not using AI.
Sure. So can you elaborate about what is the scope of service that you're currently providing, that Ella provides? How do you teach it? And what does she do at the end of the day?
Sure. So I bet you played with GPT for quite some time, with ChatGPT and all the other amazing tools out there. So for a marketer who knows, or anyone who knows what they want to extract out of ChatGPT, then you write your prompts and you get, whatever it is that you want, and you use it. When we started building Ella, then she was oriented towards small businesses who either don't have a marketing persona at all, or have one marketer trying to handle everything on his or her own. And we taught her to think like we did. So when I had the agency, then I used to just learn a new client by doing a client brief. So I want to hear from you everything about your business and your values, what you think differentiates you from everyone else, what your market looks like, who do you think your competitors are, what, who your target audience is, what are your goals? Because I can't, as a person, I can't take you to where you want to be without understanding who you are and where you come from. And then, so we taught her to do that. There's sort of a first party data onboarding phase, which is the client brief. That was actually quite a long development, because for small businesses, if you ask them, what's your value proposition, they don't really know to say. Or if you ask a startup, who are your competitors, they usually say they don't have any direct competitors. So learning how to ask the questions in the right way so people will answer well enough for Ella to understand, it took a good year. And then whilst you input the data, a lot of your answers starts triggering a whole second layer of third-party data collection. So be it through systems that we all use as marketers, like Ahref or Social Insider, or all these amazing so like they scrape basically the websites and they get the understanding. So we have our own engines that we get an understanding about your competitors and keywords research and what's trending on Google and what's trending in the hashtag space or social media, what type of posts work better. We track your own third party, the website, their social media, everything. And then all this goes into the data store. And then a whole aspect of decision-making is made by Ella. So if you're a small business is located here and you're targeting X market, this type of audience, your budget is this and this, and you're selling this and this, then she will plan for you to use 1 or 2 or 4 channels that she thinks are most relevant for your field. So that's the start of it. And then you just get proactive content every week. So she takes into account who you are and who you're targeting and what you're selling, but also that it's International Pizza Day right now, or that you're having a seasonal sale, or that Black Friday is coming, or it's International Women's Day or whatnot. And she takes all this and compiles it into Google ads or social media posts or blog posts, and everything just comes to you. So you don't have to prompt her to do anything.
That's amazing. And with regards to the content, so you mentioned Google ads. Does it also optimize the campaign based on the results, or it mainly creates the content for the campaigns?
That's a really good question. So she doesn't do the campaigner work. That's why agencies work with us as well, because like the whole targeting aspect and the media buying, she's not taking care of that. She does proactively, when you do a Google Ads campaign and you go into Google Ads Manager, then you have, headline 1, headline 2, headline 3, headline 4. Most businesses who don't know how to work with that, they have their business name and what they sell. They don't really understand why there are so many headlines or why it's built this way. The fact is that Google doesn't allow you to decide what your ad's going to look like. You need to give it options, and Google will decide what it's going to look like eventually. So the matrix that Ella creates, the 12 headlines, the 4 descriptions, the paths, the call outs, all combined together provides for a really good Google optimization score. So we're currently standing at like an average of 94%, I think. And then she proactively, every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, depending on your program, she creates a new set of ads, because you're either promoting a different products or different categories, or she just wants to update, refresh your ad. It doesn't matter how good your ad is, at some point it starts declining.
Nice. And does it give the user the content, or does it implement the content in the Google Ads backend?
So it gives the user the content. Everything is editable. Everything, the user gets the final say. And every change, every correction that the user makes actually goes back into the database, and Ella learns and optimizes for next time. What actually happens basically is when, as opposed to, let's say, other tools on the market, if you tell ChatGPT that you're a cosmetics brand and that you do for sensitive skin, whatnot, and you're asking for 10 blog ideas, and then you refill it again for a different cosmetics brand that's similar to yours, you're going to get the same, or approximately the same 10 ideas. What happens with Ella is that when you onboard, you get sort of your own fine-tuned model. So everything you do, everything that you change, everything that it's around your value proposition, it's around how you're different than your competitors. So you're sort of operating in your own space. And all the corrections that you make, everything that you do, everything that Ella learns about you over time is actually inserted into your own sort of portal. And once a month, she sends you an email with a link to update if you have like sales that she doesn't know of that aren't on your website, or if you're going to a conference, or if you have any specific categories that you want to promote this month. Let's say you're a fashion brand and it's winter, and she knows to promote your boots, but you have flip-flops stuck in stock from the summer, so you want to promote them right now. So all these things, she updates you and she asks you, and she takes them into consideration every single month.
That's amazing. I'm curious to know if you can share what are some of the prompts. I mean, you said that you yourself have a lot of experience, and you also have a team of experts. What were the guidelines that you gave Ella in order to teach her? And if there were any guidelines that were like really game changers that you said, okay, listen, Ella, from now on, when you ask the customer regarding his persona, make sure to give him X, Y, Z as example. This made a shift in results. Just an example, obviously, but do you have anything that comes to mind? Like any prompt that you gave Ella in order to teach her?
Yeah, well, Ella doesn't really work with prompts. She was taught by examples. So we created thousands and thousands of examples, which are focused around small businesses, right? So when I started this, I said, it's going to be really easy because marketing data sets are everywhere. I can just probably scrape the world's top brands ads and put them as examples. It wasn't that simple, because when you look at, the big brands, so it's Nike, Just Do It, or Lululemon, activewear, things that won't benefit a small brand who's nobody's looking for the brand name, right? So we had to teach Ella how to find the value proposition and then promote it on the headline level, the description level, the social media posts, the organic blogs, and sort of figuring out how to tie everything together. And that was done by a ton of training through examples, a lot of fine-tuned models, and a lot of our own transformer models that we had to do. So it's not really prompts, but we do help the user answer through example, answer the brief well. Because we do see sometimes that, people just sort of copy their entire about section from the website and put it as an answer, and not the best practice.
For sure. Yeah, sometimes people are lazy, but
Well, you can't get lazier than this. I mean, just give her 15 minutes, she'll work for you. That's basically what we tried to do, though. We see it's working. I mean, we're trying to position Ella as another employee on your team. And it really is working, because people, they call her as like she joined their team. They email me, do you think that Ella can do this and this, as if she were my daughter? So it's really funny. But she's a member on your team. You get to, instruct her what you need generally, and every day she'll work for you, because she continuously does the research. She continuously figures out what's hot now that wasn't hot last week or won't be hot next month. And she's very focused around a specific time. So if you're a marketer and you're trying to create your month's editorial calendar, then with Ella, you don't have to, because she aligns the blogs and the social media posts and the social media ads and your Google ad campaigns and soon the email marketing all around what's hot for that specific month and obviously relevant for you.
That's amazing. Do you have, can you maybe walk us through someone that, like a brand or SMB that started working with you? What the state that they were before, and what did they need from Ella, and how did it look like on a daily basis or at the end of the month? What was the output? I just want to have like a full circle of the whole process from a perspective of one example of an SMB.
For sure. So we have an amazing client that's been with us for quite a long time. Before we started working together, they were posting about twice a month on Facebook, because it's really hard for small businesses. They have to do everything on their own. So it's procurement and logistics and delivery and production. And then you have to do marketing, and it's here. You know that you need to do it. You don't have time to get there. And well, she started within the first month, she went to posting 10 times that month. She started with doing like two Facebook posts a month, and then she started doing 4 or 5 a week. She saw engagement rising. She never did any paid advertising at all. And then when she started gaining confidence through the free organic social media, she said, you know what, let's put $500 on Google ad campaigns. And with Ella, she doesn't really need to know how to do Google ads. So she started working with that, quickly became $50 a day. She saw about 500% increase in website traffic, in-store traffic. She saw 250% conversions up, and she said that there are a lot of in-store purchases that she knows came from the campaigns, but she can't measure at that stage. So she's super happy. And then, though, I think that the biggest thing that we give small businesses is confidence, because they understand that they can do it on their own, they can trust themselves, and they go with Ella, step by step until they have enough to bring in even a part-time or junior marketer who then continues using Ella and shaping up their entire marketing to areas that they're not very strong in.
So basically, from a time investment perspective, let's say I'm an SMB, I start like the first month. I only need to answer like the 15 minutes questionnaire, and from there on, what is the output that I'm going to get by the end of the month?
You'll get, it depends on your program, but basically you can get up to 7 social media posts every week that proactively are sent to you over email. You don't really need to do anything. You'll get 4 blogs, full 500, 600 word blogs, which are based on the searches and what's hot now and the keywords and everything. You'll get 9 sets of social media ads for Instagram and Facebook. You'll get between 2 to 6 Google ad groups per month, so you get a lot.
Nice, that's amazing.
And we started out with SMBs. We're now also being taught by the Shopping IL Google Community Academy, so we're part of the lessons there, so bringing this to small businesses. But we started with small businesses, and then in this market everybody's looking to do more with less. So we started working also with enterprises and quite a few agencies. So a lot of marketing agencies, some of the biggest in Israel, are also using the platform. And they're definitely saying that they're seeing reduction in customer acquisition cost, a lot more conversions on the website, a lot more relevant traffic coming to the website. So I guess Ella is doing quite a good job over time.
For sure. It doesn't sound like it's such a hard sell, because you're offering someone so much output for so little input. But I'm curious, what are, like, let's say, customers that come to you, what are like their misconceptions regarding AI, the ability of AI, or what are their objections? Because it sounds like a no-brainer, but what are their objections, things that you see across the board?
Well, for small businesses, I think that Ella is kind of the difference between marketing or not doing marketing at all. Small businesses, when we went into this, we started doing a lot of extensive discovery, especially with e-commerce SMBs. And we found out three things. They don't have, well, we knew they don't have money to spend on, a good agency or bringing in a full-time marketer. They don't have time to learn how to do it on their own. But what we didn't take into consideration and we didn't know is the fact that they don't trust anyone else with their business, either because they've been burnt and there's like some mediocre marketer who promised them that within 6 months they'll become an international brand, and nothing happened. Except that they lost a lot of money, or that it's just, they pour their hearts into their businesses. It's, sometimes it's, everything, like it's their baby, and it's really hard to let go of this. And then if they do bring in a marketer, they're often the bottleneck, so they have to approve every word. So with Ella, you get like that sense of control because you're the one who gets to decide what the brief's going to look like, and you're the final call if you're going to use the whole 7 posts or 3 posts, and you can adjust her work as she goes along, and she's not expensive. So the very little money that you have to spend on media, you actually get to spend it on media. But you get confidence to do it on your own. And that aspect of trust is super important for small businesses. They can trust themselves, and then they get to trust Ella. But for the misconceptions of marketers, and you see it actually in every field, is that feeling that it's going to replace them and it's going to do their job, and they rather not even try it, rather than give it a chance and see how it can make their lives easier. I see it less and less over time. I think that what happened with ChatGPT really helped us break through this misconception. But I think that once they understand that she's there to help, and she does sort of the dirty work, right? The research, the planning, the endless content creation. So she enables good marketers to do, instead of doing A/B testing across 2 months, then do ABCDEFG testing across 2 weeks, figure out really quickly what's working, what's not, further develop, stronger strategies and doing high-level marketing rather than, creating editorial calendars every month.
With regards to this, the split testing, so just to clarify, it produces the content, but it doesn't analyze yet the results. Am I correct?
Well, the third-party results she does. So she does scan to see your
okay, cool.
social media, and you're now able to soon in the next version integrate your analytics, your Google ads, and your Facebook Insights. So she'll actually have that second-party data to understand if what she did worked better or not as much as the last time, and adjust on her own. Wow,
that's really cool. That could be very powerful, for sure. Yesterday I posted something on my LinkedIn regarding an automation that I did with AI, and one of the guys, he's kind of skeptical, and he said, "I'm not sure it's such a wise decision. It's not such a wise business decision," because a lot of and I asked him why, and he said, Google or search engines are going to penalize AI content creators. And you've been in the field longer than I have been, and you speak with people more than I do. So I'm curious to hear what is your perspective regarding like SEO, penalties, and content generation using AI.
Well, Google sort of let go of that approach around April 2022. They changed the ruling, instead of artificial intelligence content to just not being spammy. And I think that now with Bard, they won't have the possibility to actually eliminate it. So I don't think that they're gonna penalize AI-based content, and as long as it's good content and not spammy. It's definitely legit. You also have like these tools now. OpenAI released Whisper, so you have a lot of tools that can, they give you a scoring of what is the probability that the human wrote that, not the machine. You can always run it through, a content spinner or a plagiarism, tool. So there are a lot of ways to overcome this, and I don't think that Google for long will continue penalizing. But I'm more concerned about the future of search, anyways. So with now Bing being integrated with ChatGPT and Google's advancement, I don't think that search is going to stay the way we know it for much longer. So the whole search marketing aspect is going to change significantly. Because if you ask Google something, you get a ton of options, and then you get to decide where you want to go. And that's what people are battling, right? Being the first few spots on Google. But if you're going to get just like the one answer from ChatGPT, and then it's going to be a different marketing game, right? Getting into that cube of answers. So I think we're going to have to all transform.
Yeah, for sure. I as you said, I think it's very hard to predict because we don't even know what will happen. But what the answer to this guy is, like you said, Google and Bing, which are like the search engines, they are also the producers of the content, the AI content. So I don't think that they will penalize this because they are like the producers as well. So it doesn't make much sense. What do you think? I mean, if we're already trying to predict, but not let's say not predict, but you're on the cutting edge of this technology. So I'm curious to hear, what have you seen lately, like really blew your mind? Any like other tools that can enhance marketers or programmers or anybody on the team, or like stuff that, because there are so many tools now coming out on a daily basis. But I'm curious if, because you're in the space, if you've seen anything like really mind-blowing lately.
Yeah, well, everything is mind-blowing because it's like you're saying that we're on the edge, but I think that this is like the very, very early days of this technology, and it's going to be insane. The next decade is going to be insane. And it's going to change everything that we know. Education, medicine, law, everything that we know, everything that we operate is going to change, I think. And be it, text to image or text to video, text to 3D. There are a lot of like these new ways that you can search through, image recognition and crazy things that for small businesses, they enable so much. It's democratizing everything that was up to now, only available to large budget companies. You can do like one day of shooting and use it year round. You change the scenery, you change the colors, you even change the model from being, African American to Asian, and it can all be done through AI, and it enables so much. You can do 360s, there's so much, and it's so available right now. So be it generations like generative AI or anything else, the whole avatars and the speech recognition, crazy world that we're living in. It's super exciting. The next decade. I had this conversation with somebody who told, my daughter is really into theater, and he said, you know what, there's not much of a financial future being an actor. And I said, you know what, the best thing is that 10 years from now, we don't even know what's going to be a financial future, because we don't know what professions are going to be relinquished and what new ones are going to be born. So if you want a stable financial future, I think you should be a plumber. Otherwise, you don't know anything.
For sure, I agree. And I actually saw like a few weeks ago an article about VTubers. Do you know what is VTuber? I didn't even know, but it blew my mind, the numbers. Like basically VTubers are like YouTubers that have an avatar. They don't expose themselves, which is a very interesting, this is a very interesting concept in itself. Like pseudonymity is also a concept that I'm learning about, because I really think there is room and place for pseudonymity. But regarding the VTubing, so this blew my mind, because I didn't know it's such a huge field, and it just shows you how we don't know we don't even have a perception of what's going on and where can things go to, and just an interesting insight. Have you seen?
I think that like one of the world's leading influencers is that it's an avatar, right? I can't remember the name right now, but it's the gap between my children's generation and myself is so big. I don't understand half of what they're saying, half of what they enjoy watching. And I think that teams are going to expand to have 14-year-olds on board. Otherwise, you can't speak to the generation.
Sure. Yeah, I hopped on a Zoom call with a few younger people, and they actually logged in with avatars and didn't show their faces, and I was like, "What's going on? Are we serious?" And then I realized they were completely serious, but they don't want to expose themselves. So they have like privacy concerns, which is very interesting. And maybe I want to tie this down to the subject that we discussed at the beginning. What is a marketer? Because now we discussed about how the AI can enhance the marketing, and we discussed about you said maybe criticizing. It was a criticizing tone that 14, 18 years old marketers are joining the field. But so what my question is, so what makes a good marketer? How can we differentiate ourselves from the people who are just leveraging AI? And how can we stay relevant from the young people that we don't even completely understand? I know it's a philosophical question that it can take hours to answer, but I'm just curious to hear your perspective.
Well, first of all, put aside the criticism. So when I did that, we actually have, I think, 3.5 generations of marketers here. We have some of Israel's, most prominent advertiser experts, advertising experts that, bring in the old school type of thinking. And then we have 20-year-olds who bring in everything new. And I think that's not even enough, because I don't understand today why my 8-year-old prefers to watch YouTube shorts. My 11-year-old likes Reels, and my husband likes TikTok. To me, they're all kind of the same, right? And there's a lot of deep understanding that needs to be done, be it, audience analysis and preferences and understanding the patterns, the behavioral patterns, the thinking patterns, the buying intent patterns of each type of, there are so many personas now. It wasn't like this when I started doing marketing. But AI allows you to get very granular in your targeting, in your personalization, in the way you analyze their behavior online, and can provide sort of that real-time response to churning, to leaving your cart, something in your cart, to reselling, upselling. So there's so much that AI can help you do, because marketing got really complicated. I don't know if I were to start my career today, if this is the profession that I would choose. It's really, really complicated. It's a lot of data. You need to know a lot of tools. There's so many best practices for so many different platforms, and you can't cover it all. It's just really hard if you don't have, aides on your side. But I do think that putting the criticism aside and bringing in different generations to teach you what you don't know. I will never, and I say this proudly, I will never understand some of the younger generations' consumption habits, but I have to accept the fact that I don't know and bring in people who do.
Interesting. And so what do you perceive, let's say, top 3 attributes for marketers? So you mentioned many times, I don't know. And this is the first thing that I like Socrates said, I know I don't know. And this is something that I use often. And I say, a good marketer admits that he doesn't know, and he just checks hypotheses, checks if whether he's wrong or right. But I did enough speed tests to understand that I have zero ability to predict what will work. So this is my perspective. But I'm curious to know what are like the top values, or maybe the top things or the top skills that a good marketer should learn, regardless of the times that we're operating in. Like response, is it human psychology, is it data analysis?
Well, on a personal level, I think that a good marketer should recognize what he or she are good at and what not so much, and be conscious of that, because you can't be good at everything. You can't be good at social media marketing and understand every single platform, and you can't do that together with SEO and good storytelling and email marketing. Each of those are sort of a different, separate profession. So know what you're good at, know what you're not good at. So that's the first thing. And then know what you love, because there's a lot of, there's a daily grind being a marketer. You sort of like about 30% of what you get to do, and then 70% of it is really, so understand what you like, because what you like is what you're going to be best at. And then when it comes to learning, keep an open mind, learn all the time, be on top of trends, of tools, of advancement in the field. And yes, it's all about eventually the customer. What is the pain point? And it's dynamic. It changes between different types of personas. It changes during the year. what is the customer, what is the pain point, what are we actually providing? Be very candid about the value that you actually provide, and figure out how it's perceived for them. And then where to reach them, how to reach them, and what is the best way to communicate with them. Because it's all basically, I heard this there's nothing like, there's no such thing as B2B, it's also B2B2C or P2P. Eventually, you're a person who's speaking to a person, and try to figure out that conversation through your brand voice, through your brand messaging. So that's what I think a good marketer should do, regardless of tools or channels.
Great points. And it sounds, I mean, all these things that you mentioned are on a surface level, they are pretty straightforward. Everyone knows them. But I can tell that you embody them and you have a lot of experience, because by the way you talk, and also the fact that you mentioned many times we sell confidence with regards to Ella. And this is like the primer, like when I build a customer persona, so I ask you're the 5 whys model. So why does it do this? Why does it do this? And at the end of the day, it boils down to some primal fear, or the need for certainty, or like from the hierarchy of needs. And the fact that you mentioned many times that you're selling confidence, it just shows me that you completely understand your persona, and you don't just what a lot of marketers are doing, just repeat the guidelines.
I'll tell you when we figured this out, because when did we understand that? When we saw a lot of our users don't necessarily go to paid media. And when you're an agency, you want them to spend as much as they can, because then your commission is bigger. So Ella doesn't work on commission. And then what she wants is for you to be able to do gradually growing good marketing and to support your business goals. And we see a lot of people start out with social media, organic social media, posting on social media, whatever Ella is providing them. And that gives them the confidence that they can actually do it, because when they don't do it, it's here. They're disappointed in themselves that they're not taking care of the marketing. And then the first couple of weeks with Ella, they're proud of themselves because they started doing more marketing and it feels good. And then they gain the confidence to try something they haven't done before. If it's a blog, or starting doing the Google ad campaigns, or giving Facebook paid media on Facebook a chance. And it doesn't matter if they're starting out with really small budgets. The fact that they're acting upon what they know they need to act, and they're doing it on their own with like a little someone here telling them, today, put this post on Facebook, here's the caption, these are the hashtags, take the video, and they just do it simply, then they gain the confidence to try and do more and more and more. And then when they see it works, then they start doing even more. So I think that the confidence that they gain with themselves, that they're able to do it. I think it's the most important thing that Ella gives to them.
Sure, definitely sounds very, very empowering and also important. Was it like a aha moment for you to realize that you're selling confidence, or how does that process look like? Because I think one of the frictions, or maybe the challenges on your end, I'm putting myself in your shoes. So if I'm already a marketer, it's very hard for me to understand how come they're not just blasting out content. Why are they afraid to increase the spend? It's very hard to relate to someone who doesn't have like the same skill set or the same experience. So I'm curious, what did you do in order to gain this insight, and how the moment of gaining this insight, how did it look like?
It was a very huge aha moment. It was after, when we started out, is like grow your business easily, do great marketing on your own. A small business owner who's selling online yoga classes, he doesn't want to do great marketing on his own. He wants to sell more yoga classes. He doesn't know how to do that. And he's so scared of messing up because his budget is so limited, then he doesn't even try. And when we understood that, that was the aha moment, because we saw businesses who are successful, who are not bringing in a marketer, and sort of reach the ceiling of, okay, this is as much as I can do on my own. I need help. And we said, bring in a marketer. And they're like, no, I don't trust anybody. I've been burnt. I don't want to have anybody mess with my stuff, but I don't know how to do more than what I'm doing right now. And then having those businesses as opposed to businesses who are not doing anything because they're too scared of losing the very little money that they do have to spend. That was a moment we say, you know what, Ella's just going to hold your hand through this. And if you don't have any knowledge at all, she'll take you those first few steps. And if you do have knowledge, but you don't have time, she'll help you save that time and do it for you. But basically, she just gives you a hand to do whatever it is you need to do where you're at the moment.
And from a tactical perspective, did you make it a point on your end to call the customers? I mean, how did this qualitative research look like in order to understand this?
Yeah, so we see every customer, big or small agency or a one-person, small businesses, they're our partners in this journey. I know what I can do as a person. And in order for Ella to be able to give that to, a small business or an agency or a professional marketer, we need to figure out what they need. So we have a lot of feedback calls. We make it a point to talk to a lot of representatives of different types of communities. We have feedback options on the website on every single post, and we do definitely speak to, we have design partners from the biggest agencies. We have the community members from Shopping IL or whatever other community of small businesses. We talk to them all the time. And because their needs are different. When we started out with like the Google ads, and we had, 2 different or 4 different Google ad sets. And then the agency said, that's not enough. We need more. And we started to develop whatever it is around the needs. Or small businesses who don't understand how to take what Ella prepared and, what's it going to look like on Google. So we did a Google Ads preview, and now we're helping them with the integration so they won't even have to go to Google Ads. So we're listening a lot to what they need, and we're trying to do as best we can. We hold their hand a lot. If they need help, integrating pixels or whatnot, then we actually offer that as a free service just to help them take whatever Ella did for them and implement it in the best way. We are nothing without them, because we will never figure out the real pain point if we don't speak to people.
And yeah, this is so often overlooked. And this is why I asked you this question, because so many times people are just focused on building or focused on selling. And I think Paul Graham, the founder of YC, said that the founder, all he should do is build and speak with the customers. But people are kind of shy or reluctant to speak with the customers, but actually speaking with the customer and listening like you did is like, it's a gold mine. It's everything you need to know about where to take your business. And also e-commerce store owners overlook this. I was an e-commerce merchant for many years. I was pretty successful, but I never spoke with the customers. Just like some quiz at the post-purchase flow, didn't really care about what they said. And now I'm helping startups, and I see that they just focus on building instead of like actually understanding what the customers need. And this is a pity, in my opinion.
I can tell you that it happens every day, because like as I said, once a month you get, as a user, you get the monthly questionnaire. The last question in the monthly questionnaire is Ella saying, so how did I do last month? Be candid, I can take it. So first of all, we call the ones who give a 3. Just to figure out what was mediocre, what didn't you like? And then we call the ones who give a 5 to understand, okay, which improvements made it move from a 4 to a 5 last week. So it's really important. And I think that we get feedback on everything, be it the user flow, the pricing packages, if they're clear enough or not, if they did or weren't able to get the email, or everything. And we check everything. The one thing I know for sure is that we're not sure about anything that we've done thus far. We doubt it every day.
That's great. One thing regarding the scale. So sometimes when I do ask questions, this is the idea I stole from Tim Ferriss, and I recommend you can test it if you want. So if you give it a scale of 1 to 10, tell them that you can't choose 7, because 7 is like the default answer. Everybody will choose 7. And when it's 7, it doesn't give you a distinction between, okay, my product is shitty or I'm doing well. So this is something that I use like with my friends when I want to gather feedback. So I ask them, how was my latest podcast? On a scale of 1 to 10, but don't give me a 7. And then it kind of it gives better and more honest feedback, in my opinion. Yeah. Great. I want to start concluding the conversation. Is there anything that you plan to discuss or you wanted to share that we didn't cover today? Because I mean, we did speak about a lot of interesting and valuable stuff, but is there anything that we overlooked?
No, I think it was a really good conversation. I really appreciate it. For anyone who wants to try it out, there's a free plan. You can just test it. It's not a free trial. It's actually, you can use it for free. And we're happy to offer, a pro package, 1 month pro package for your listeners. We'll communicate how to do it afterwards. But if you want another set of hands on your team, be it you're a solopreneur or a business with a small marketing team or an agency, if you want an extra hands working for your business, Ella is where to go because she works proactively. You don't need to do anything.
Awesome, great. And can you share like the domain? Obviously, I'll share it in the show notes. But where can people read more about Ella, and where can people connect with you if you're active on any social networks?
Yeah, so I'm active on LinkedIn mostly, Naama Manova Twito, and the website is Marktrix, Marktrix.com.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, Naama. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Likewise. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi guys, this is Yaron again. Just a few more things before you take off. Number 1, if you want to learn more about e-commerce and marketing, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, which is called EcomXFactor Official. Number 2, check out our Facebook group, which is called EcomXFactor Marketing and E-commerce Mastermind. This is a great place to ask questions and connect with other business owners. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues, plus leave a review at your favorite podcast app.